Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do click on the subscribe button down below. And also, because a few of you mentioned before that you weren't getting updates on my videos, please ensure that if you are one of the 106 people who are subscribed to me, that you have also clicked the bell icon right next to the subscribe button, also found down below, to make sure that you're getting notifications and updates of all the videos that I put up as soon as I put them up. Now, getting back to today's topic, which as you can see from the title is how we see people, and I want to talk about that today because we see people every single day. We see people wherever we go, and we tend to see only the version of themselves that they show us. We see their appearance, we see their personality, we see their actions, we see their gestures, we see how they talk, how they walk, and that is our impression of them. The length of time we have known someone, the depth and openness of our conversations, the closeness of our relationship, all plays a part on how we tend to see someone. But I have found that regardless of how long we've known someone, we only tend to see the version of that person that person allows us to see. And that is usually only what we see on the outside. And even that is watered down by our own limitations, by our own perceptions, our own assumptions, our own prejudices. And that is what I want to challenge today. I have with me my mother Lata Daniel today because she has an experience that makes her uniquely qualified to actually weigh in on the subject of how we see people. She was the mother of a young boy who was riddled with cerebral palsy. Now, if you don't know what that is, that means that he had a condition which put limitations on all four of his limbs. He was officially 100% disabled. He couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he couldn't use his hands, he couldn't hold on to anything, he couldn't even get himself up out of somewhere, he couldn't roll over, and that was the extent of his limitation. And she saw in that boy who couldn't do anything on his own, who was dependent on someone to pick him up from one place and put him on to the bed or to the chair. She saw in that boy something that many of us would have missed in that situation, and that was potential. She, along with my father, saw in that boy who was predicted to be a vegetable for the rest of his life by his doctors, his very qualified doctors. She saw something that many people would have failed to see, and that has led to a legacy that consists of thought-provoking poetry, a vision for the community and the world at large, and a life-changing story that even today, 3 years after his death, inspires people all over the globe. I will link our story down below if you want to check it out, but I'll get to the point of this video right now. As I said earlier, how we see people is tarnished by our own thoughts, by our own assumptions, our own perceptions, and what we see on the outside is not really who they really are. And I have personally witnessed that there is something good, something beautiful, something valuable in every single person, regardless of how they look and appear to be on the outside. There is something unique that only they can offer. There's something that only they can do. There is something that is waiting for their unique stamp on it. And even though we believe this about ourselves very, very easily, we find it very difficult to believe about others. And that, I believe, needs to change. So I wanted my mother to share a speech that she gave at a recent Toastmasters meeting that challenges the way we see people, that challenges our mindset, and hopefully challenges our life. So over to her.
A small boy hesitantly gets onto the stage. He takes the mic in his hand. He looks at the audience, initially with his voice quivering. But just as he starts speaking, with each syllables, he becomes louder and clearer. And as his confidence grew, he became bolder and he made the audience laugh with him. You may think that this is a story of every Toastmaster who is giving his first icebreaker speech. But no, this is the story of an 8-year-old boy, Shridev, who is affected by cerebral palsy, who was wheeled on to the stage by his mother on a wheelchair. My eyes witnessed this when I had the privilege of being part of the annual day function at Jason's special school. When Shridev's mother spoke and said that she never imagined that her son could speak so boldly, that he could remember the script or even attempt writing it. Because of this, I know that there is possibility in impossibility. When we look at disabled children, what do you feel? You feel pity, you feel sadness, you feel that they're underprivileged, you feel they don't know, they don't have the ability to do anything on their own. But let me tell you, they can do much, much more that you can ever imagine or even dream of. As per 2001 census of India, out of 121 crore population, nearly 2.36 crore are having some form or the other disability. That is nearly 2.21% of the Indian population. And as per World Health Organization report of 2011, nearly 15% of the world population is having some form of disability. And that's quite a sizable number. Having had a first-hand experience of raising my disabled son Jethro, I can say for sure that you cannot dismiss them just as some statistics. They are more than that. They are humans just like you and me. If you would have seen my son Jethro, you would have seen him having floppy head, drooling mouth, and hands that were useless and legs that were useless. What would he invoke in people who look at him? Pity and sympathy. Pity for him and sympathy for us. But we saw his smile, we saw his heart, we saw his soul. We cannot dismiss him even though the doctor said the worst. I think back to the time when we discovered his talent and I wonder, what if? What if we had missed it? What if we had missed discovering his talent? He would have been able to express himself and bring out his wisdom and understanding through the poems on love, on humility, and even on parenting. These poems are going around the world and helping so many people, even so many years after his death. Now, when I look at the children of Jason's special school, I want to make sure that I don't miss discovering their talents. Shridev is keen to be a policeman. But do we deny him just because he's on a wheelchair? He would make a better policeman fighting injustice and crime than the ones having legs to run around but yet are disabled. In the book Gifted, written by A.S. Feroz and Sudha Menon, they brought out stories of so many children who were disabled but were gifted immensely. And I know for sure that there are so many more stories which are yet to be published, and even more stories yet to be uncovered and discovered. Ritvik Rajan was born blind to his mother Snelata. Snelata could have been shattered. She would have wondered what fate has dished out to her, but she didn't. She ensured that she helped Ritvik to have a self-belief. She introduced him to music at an early age, and she discovered that he loved music. 10 years down the line, she had another son, Roshan, who was not only blind but also autistic. For any other woman, it would have been a double whammy, but not for Snelata. She pursued, she homeschooled him and introduced him to music just as she did her elder son. And currently, both Ritvik and Roshan are running a music school in Bangalore. Ritvik says that one of the most important lessons he learned from his parents is of self-belief. Ralph Waldo Emerson has said, "Every man is an impossibility until he is born." Every man is an impossibility until he is born.
We see people every day. We see family in our home, we see colleagues in the workplace, we see friends outside, we see people on the street. We see people every single day. But do we really see them? That's my question to you today. Do we take the time to believe that there is something more than what catches our eye? That there is good, that there is love, that there is immense potential? Because when we believe that there's something more than what we see in front of us, they start to believe. And when they start to believe, potential becomes reality. And when potential becomes reality, the world shines with the brightness of 7.6 billion stars. That's the world I want to live in. And I hope that going forward, we see people not for who they are today, but for who they can become, maybe with just a little bit of help. So I hope this video really triggered your thought process, because sometimes we don't really think about how we look at people, how we see people, how we perceive people. we just make snap judgments about people and just go about our day thinking that the world's never going to be better, that people will never change, they're always going to be the same, and that we wish we had better people around us. But the thing is, we have amazing people around us. We just don't know where to look. We don't know what to look at. And the world just needs a little bit of support, a little bit of love, a little bit of coming together of people to realize that every single person in this world has something to contribute. There's something that is unique to every person, and that uniqueness has to be given chance to thrive. And that can only happen if other people like you and me come together to decide that we will see only the good in others and not the negatives. I believe that the minute we see good in people, that good multiplies and the negatives kind of fade away. And I hope that that is what you find in your dealings with people. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. It means the world to me. And I'll see you next week.